All right, hey folks. I'm going to get some streaming going on here. Hey, what's up? My name is Phil. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online, and I'm making stuff for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We're currently playing with the idea of Spelljammer in Eberron, as well as making use of some mechanics that I created for, let me fix my screen here real quick, for Kaiju and Constructs with a Warforged, with a decided direction towards Warforged. Let's see, where is that at? Spelljammer subclasses are coming along nicely. Spelljammer, Kaiju, and Constructs. If you're interested in this stuff, and down here in the description, there's a bunch of documents. The actual Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that I create on DMsGuild is linked here, which is the basis of the Kaiju and Construct mechanics that we're using. The campaign workbench that I'm actually building the Eberron Spelljammer campaign is linked here. The Bastion campaign that we've been using for the past 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, to build the asteroid settlements, that's created here in the Bastion campaign work in progress. And then the Spelljammer subclasses you saw, and then Kaiju and Constructs is here. So these are all read-only documents for you guys, but they'll all publish on the DMsGuild eventually, just like this Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we built. All my books have 100% free preview. This one happens to come with about 120 different assets, like maps, ship tokens, all this stuff for Light as Araxis, blah, blah, blah. And, you can bounce around inside the document. It's easily, like, here's all the conversion guide for using the mechanics that we have in this book to use them with Light as Araxis if you were interested in doing so. So if you think this stuff is cool, if you want to, buy some of it, awesome. Thanks for doing that. Here's a bunch of other books that I've created on the DMsGuild. They all also have free preview, but we're going to be working on Spelljammer specifically today. So we're going to work inside of the Spelljammer Kaiju and Constructs book, and where is it? Spelljammer Kaiju, Asteroid Mining Belt. That's not the one that I want. Bastion Campaigns, in command. All right, I'm actually looking for the campaign workbench. I'll just go ahead and pop that open like that. I'm getting my shit organized here, guys, so stay with me. We'll get there. We're gonna drop this down just to get it out of the way. And okay, Eberron Spelljammer Kaiju Bastion campaign. Here is, we get rid of this image. No, we don't need to keep that. Here is the environment that we're working inside of right now. This is in orbit around Eberron. Let's grab the overall Eberron map. There it is. So here's Eberron. It occupies a 10,000 mile space. Here's all the moons that are in orbit around Eberron in numerical order here. Number 1 through 12, of course. Dalcor's moon is missing, the Phantom 13th. But in orbit from closest to furthest away, each of these squares is 10,000 miles. So I don't remember the name of it, but I just call it the Plain of Shavareth. It's Volt, the Warder. Shavareth, the battleground, 252,000 miles away. So that's 25 squares away from Eberron. And so in orbit around Eberron is all of the asteroid clusters, and the asteroid clusters have enough trees and vegetation on them to create clean air environments around them. So there's, in a Super Mario World sort of pathing, you can go from asteroid cluster to asteroid cluster inside of clean air pockets, and then outside of it is fouled air or void, which is deadly, poisoned or deadly. Inside the orbits of Eberron moons is the poison sea, which is breathable, but you're poisoned while you breathe it, and so you can take a breath of fresh air. And then no one knows what's beyond the orbit of the moons. The atmosphere dissipates after a while and becomes void space, which is deadly. And you can't breathe it, so it'll kill you. This is where we're starting here between the Plain of Fernia and Glacia? Fernia and Rizia, the Plain of Ice. So this block here, this 10,000 mile block here, is where we are focusing the start of the campaign. Here is the asteroid cluster that the team is inside of. We've already detailed in the past 6 episodes, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different asteroid communities that are clustered inside of this air pocket. These are other just random asteroids that have different value. Like there's electrum on this asteroid, so this community is mining that. There's iron on this asteroid, so the community is mining that. Don't have a lot of information about the rest of the asteroids yet. That's if that's something that the players want to decide that they want to explore, they will. When peaceful times beset the communities again and they have the space to breathe for themselves, then they'll have the opportunity to explore more asteroids in the future. But we are looking to, let's get this out of the way. We're looking to create kaiju. So we have the mecha that the characters are piloting right now, which at second rank is level, okay, so it's level 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 16, 17 to 20 is the 5 ranks of ascending skill or like expertise or construction of mecha that corresponds with the 5 ranks that we have in the Bastion Campaign system for building workshops that can create mecha, which we went into a lot of detail maybe like 4 episodes back. So you can jump into the way back and check out episode episode 12, I think. And so at 5th level, which is where we're starting, and we'll go to 13th level, which will be 4th rank. So the mecha that we have right now are 20 feet in size, and they have up to 3 modifications per mecha. Those modifications can be up to 2nd rank, which is equivalent to basically 2nd level spells. And the hit points, the spare hit points that the mecha adds to the character is 40, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not, but you can use mending to repair mecha as a as a cantrip if you want to repair mecha. There you go. And the damage that you deal at this scale is 3 times your normal weapon damage. Since they're colossal-sized creatures, gargantuan-sized creatures at 20 feet, the scale is 2 times at large, 3 times at 20. 4 times at 30, also 4 times at 40, and then at 50 it's 5 times the damage size. So if your mecha is using a long sword and a shield, you get the +2 armor class bonus like normal from the shield, but the sword will be a 20-foot scaled sword, so it will do 3 dice of damage plus any other modifiers that you add into it. And then we have the modifications that you can add to the mecha. Each mecha at this rank can have 3 mods. And so here's the different mods. We went over these, I think, 5 weeks ago. But like if you don't want to have to worry about poisoned air, then you want to have a sealed helm that it's an enclosed environment without any exposure to atmosphere around you. Oversized weapons lets you increase the damage size by 1 by like basically making it, cloud-sized. Durable doubles your hit points, and you can take this multiple times if you want to, up to the max rank of the mecha. So if you wanted to spend 2 mods on adding, tripling down, you can add 2 mods at 2nd rank of doubling your durability. So you can go to 40, then 80, then 120. And that's a shitload of hit points, but you're just basically going to be a thick tank. Powers, there's a slew of powers that you can use as bonus actions when you're piloting your mecha instead of what your character would normally be able to do with a bonus action. Like say, if you have a barbarian mecha pilot, you could use your bonus action to rage. Now you're getting all your rage bonuses and reckless attacks with your mecha while you're moving around. But if you are already raging and you don't have something specific that you want to do with your bonus action, then you could choose any number of, let's go to the Kaiju book, which is linked down below, Spelljammer Kaiju Constructs. Let's see. Skipping past the rules about docents and Warforged piloting mecha, because that's not relevant to the conversation at the moment. You can decide your frame as either being a light, composite, or a heavy frame. Light don't gain any bonuses or penalties to strength, constitution, or dexterity checks and saving throws. Composite material has a maximum of +2 bonus to dexterity, but gives you an automatic +2 bonus to strength and constitution. And if you're using heavy materials like metal, light materials like wood, bone, flesh can count. Chitin is composite material, or a mix of wood and metal, and the metal is heavy materials. Heavy materials give you a +5 to your strength and constitution bonus, but you don't gain any bonus to your dexterity. And the armor class base default is 13 for Dex and Int. For light material, composite material has an armor class of 15, plus Dex or Int maximum of +2. And then heavy material is an armor class of 18. It's basically light, medium, and heavy armor is basically what it is. But it also modifies your strength, constitution, and dexterity, saving throws, and ability checks as a pilot. So there's also damage reduction. So the mecha, our craft size, so a metal mecha has 10 points of damage reduction. So if I hit you for 30 points of damage, only 20 points of damage are actually coming through. And then the way that the Spelljammer combat and exploration system works on the DMsGuild that I published, link down below, is that when you, there we go, like say 30 points of damage comes in from, I don't know, a ballista bolt or something. So 30 points of damage is coming in. I have a metal mecha, so that's heavy material, so I reduce the damage by 10, so that's now 20 points of damage. And then 20 of those points of damage, I can either take them as a perk, like I can take them from my own hit points, or I can damage the hit points of the mecha, or any mix in between. If I choose to take any damage and if I'm concentrating on a spell, I have to make a concentration check like usual to avoid losing the spell. I also have to make that concentration check when I take damage to make sure that I don't lose control of my ship by getting knocked out of my chair or spell stunned, Spelljammer stunned, as a result of taking damage. So if I'm going to soak damage for the ship, there's a chance I could lose concentration for taking that damage. But all the spells that are in the game that helps mitigate damage, like the Barbarian's Rage bonus that gives you resistance to piercing damage, for instance, from a ballista bolt, 20 points of damage comes in. 30 points comes in, I'm reducing it by 10 because of my heavy metals. Then I could say deal 4 points of damage to the mecha and take 16 points myself, but now since I'm raging, I have damage reductions, so that 16 becomes 8 points of damage. So from that 30 points of damage to that ballista bolt, I'm taking 8 points of damage, and my mecha took 4 points of damage. I could use a mending cantrip to repair the mecha if I needed to, or a healing spell on myself. You could give temporary hit points to your mecha and to the pilot. The pilot can have a co-pilot, so there can be two of you in the mecha, operating it together, sharing action economies, sharing responsibilities between each other, like a barbarian and a cleric, with the cleric using warding bond on the barbarian, so that the cleric can take half the damage and the barbarian can take half the damage, and both of you have resistance to it. So that 30 points of damage, 4 to the mecha, 16 to the pilot, 8 to the cleric, which is reduced to 4. The pilot took 8, which is a barbarian raging, takes 4, so now it's 4, 4, and 4 between the three of you. Barely an inconvenience. If you're using a Twilight Cleric, you can use a bonus action just to refresh temporary hit points on people. There's so many ways to get temporary hit points in 5th edition 24 that it's really complementary to the system. It gives you a use for all those temporary hit points, because if I'm going to be coming in at you, swinging, where am I at? There we go. If we're swinging a sword, doing say 3d8 plus 4 points plus 6 from say a barbarian, 3d8 plus 6 damage coming in from a single sword strike, and at 5th level we have 2 of those in a mecha per attack, then we're talking about like doing 40 points of damage. So having the ability to stack up temporary hit points to protect your characters is a great idea. Casting polymorph, like as a wizard casting polymorph onto a character just to give you additional temporary hit points, not a bad idea. So there's a lot of fun ways that you can manipulate your hit point pool to be a lot more durable than you may otherwise be. So, and then on top of that, we have all the, let's close up the Bastion campaign. There it is. The vessels, power systems. Let's see, the type of helm that we're using is a minor helm, which in this campaign will have a 1,000 mile per day limit. The vessel will have a 10,000 mile scale per limit. So with the map that we're using at this scale, it's 10,000. Each one of these squares is 500 miles. So a mecha can move 2 squares in 1 day on its own. Or if you're in a dwarven citadel, this is a 20 by 20 square. Each square is 500 miles. This is a 100,000 mile space. a 10,000 mile space overall. So the Dwarven Citadel that the team has command of can traverse this entire space in one day. And if we zoom out to the world map, each of these squares is 10,000 miles. So if we're going to Super Mario World around orbit, chasing after shit and doing adventuring and stuff, we can move basically one square, or if you wanted to use a hex map, 1 hex per day is the scale of movement that we have. So it's a reduced speed, but it's faster than airships, so it works out pretty well. And let's see. Oh yeah, the list of powers. So you could, Right, so the mecha, we have up to 3 modifications that we can put into it. One of them is powers. We can also integrate an Eldritch Cannon, which we'll be looking at here in a little bit. There's integrated tools for like Tinker's Thief, Crowbar type tools at the 20-foot scale that we're operating at. So your mecha can run around in like a fire giant or a cloud giant's kingdom and basically like Robotech, be at the same scale as the Zentradi. The sealed helmet, we talked about that, so you can traverse water and the poison sea without having to worry about suffocation. Oversized weapon is a larger die size, and then a siege weapon. It requires 10 feet of space and a crew to reload the weapon. So you could put basically a ballista or a small catapult, a mangonel, on your mecha if you wanted to, but you have to have a loading crew so that you can operate it using your normal action economy to command the creatures to fire repeatedly. But at the scale that we're at right now at 20 feet, you could fit a ballista onto your vehicle, but you can only put one on your mecha, and it's basically going to be a walking catapult like from Magic the Gathering. And so you do like 3D, like if you're using a two-handed sword, which would be 6d6 damage plus whatever your strength modifier is, compared to a siege machine weapon, which the minimum size is a d4 times 10, you're basically just having extra crew to have a super heavy weapon be able to fire further away. Like a catapult, a ballista typically has a 500-foot short range, and then it can fire up to 1 mile away in zero gravity conditions. Further than that, it's over a mile away. It takes an entire round to get there. You can see it coming. As long as you're not surprised, you can see siege weapons that attack you more than a mile away. And as long as you're aware of them, you don't have to worry about being hit. You can just automatically move aside and they'll miss you. If you're within a mile, it's the disadvantage for long range, but it gets there fast enough that you actually have to worry about your armor class. If you don't know the attack is coming and it's over a mile away, you'll still attack with disadvantage, but if they notice it when it comes within range, then they'll be able to move out of the way and you won't be able to hit them. So you have to be able to hit people with surprise if they're more than a mile away. These are all the mechanics that are inside the Spelljammer book that we built. So this is just extracting some of that information and dropping it into a human-shaped mecha. One of the things that we're going to play with today is go down to the pre-built ships that we have in the document here. We're going to play with, we're going to build out an Illithid encounter, and we created. Obviously, we have the Nautiloid ship, which is a 200-foot vessel. That's in the Spelljammer book, translated into the system. With this, like all these tentacles can attack, and we have ballistas and some mangonels. I mean, it's a pretty decked out ship. That's the carrier ship for the Illithid that are going to be potential enemies for the characters. But aboard the vessel are fighter craft, and the cuttlefish is the small scale, like Illithid style fighter craft that we created. It's a cuttlefish. It's got a little shell. It's got 8 legs that crawl around, and it has an Eldritch Cannon mounted into it. And creatures that have spell-like abilities can amplify those abilities through an Eldritch Cannon to be able to project, like for example, a Tyrant ship for Beholders. It has a whole bunch of Eldritch Cannons that the Beholder can use its different eyes to fire through, so you can do a disintegration ray up to like 6,000 miles, like up to 6,000 feet away, or I think it's 120 feet normally, so I think it's 1,200 feet at the amplified scale. And like its slow eye, I think also has a 120-foot range. So that'd be a 1,200-foot range. So if we're operating at the 500-foot scale, it could tag you if you're up to 3 squares away at the 500-foot scale. But these smaller little cuttlefish, they're only 20 feet in size. So on a larger Illithid ship like this, each of these squares is 50 feet. So you could fit 4 cuttlefish inside of 1 square. Well, technically you could fit more in, but easily you can fit 4 cuttlefish inside of 1 50-foot square. So if we have a nautiloid here, you could have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You could have 8 cuttlefish basically gripping the bottom of the nautiloid vessel, and then deploy as fighter craft to fight people with the Eldritch Cannon, and it's got its tentacles, it can run around, it can peel your ship apart with its tentacles while it's blasting you from the Illithid inside. So we're going to create the Illithid in their fighter craft to have those statted out. We're also going to work with, from Rizia, the moon of ice in Eberron. There. Wait. Nope. Yes, there we go. So this orbit here, number 5, is Rizia, and this is Fernia, number 4. So when there's a full moon, it can create a manifest zone, and sometimes those manifest zones stick around. And so recently, Rizia came by orbit 5, the plane of ice, and it dropped a manifest zone that was large enough to be able to affect half of the communities in this asteroid cluster that the players are basically the sheriffs and overseeing and protecting. So there is this Frisia zone is cold, it's killing crops. We spent a couple episodes talking about the need for food and production in these different asteroid communities, so you can gamify that and make it a source of encounters for trying to be able to stock food and provide commerce between these different 6 asteroid communities when kaijus attack. Like if I'm shipping supplies from, like, say, the Cove at 6 to the Electro Mine on 2, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 hours away. At the 10,000 miles per day scale, a Spelljammer ship can basically move 500 miles per hour. At 1,000 miles per day, it's 1 square every 12 hours. So if we're pushing a supply from the Cove to the Electro Mine, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a 4-hour trip. And if kaiju attack over here at Farhope, which is the name of this community over here, number 5, here we see a cloaker is attacking a kaiju cloaker. We built that, I think, on episode 5, maybe. But if a kaiju attacks over here, and we're all the way over here to Cove, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 hours away. And if I'm going to roll a d10 to see how long that cloaker is going to be attacking that community, if it's less than 4 hours, then it's going to attack and vacate before the team can show up and quell it. If the team can arrive before the kaiju attack ends, then they can stop the kaiju from basically damaging the community, dealing bastion points of damage, which we talked about in previous episodes. So out here in the Frisia zone, there is a growing population of ice elementals, and so we don't have to limit ourselves to large, huge, or gargantuan-sized elementals. We can go into colossal frames of 50 or 500 or even mile-sized elementals that are drifting or navigating through this manifest zone, this frozen manifest zone, and may or may not even be aware of or care about these communities over here. But the effects of the manifest zone are killing all the crops in these communities. So they're going to have to either vacate over to here and here, like to these locations, or we need to do something about the cold snap. And so if we want to take care of the cold snap, we need to find out what's the source of the manifest zone that's in orbit currently with them here in Eberron. It would have dropped literally like right here in this 10,000 miles square that's adjacent to our 10,000 mile square here. You see, so the manifest zone is over in this region. So we'd have to take a day's travel into we'd have to travel from our community into this manifest zone, into this square here, leaving the safety, basically leaving our communities defenseless while we go on this adventure. So we have to hope that there's not going to be kaiju there, because we won't be able to get back fast enough to take care of the kaiju if they show up. So if we have a way to be able to assure that we won't have kaiju issues, what is going on with that? Then they can buy some time to go off and start adventuring. Like we know there's Lazar pirates here. The Unseelie Court is at war with the Lazar pirates over here. We know Droam is over here, but that's across the Poison Sea, so we don't necessarily have to worry about it. There's I think a House Lyrandar fortification over here that is somewhat friendly with us. This is unclaimed territory currently that was vacated because of piracy. So there's a lot of neat stuff that's going on that the characters get involved in, but the primary the primary drive of the campaign is to protect the community from kaiju attack. So we're designing a bunch of different kind of kaiju. So yeah, we can get into that. Here's the Dwarven Citadel that we had built out. The stats for it as an actual bastion, as a second-rank bastion. And here's the different communities that we created and all of the different facilities and structures that are in these different 6 communities that we worked through. I think what we want to do now is drop down to the table. Let's go look at Unique Bastions and Scaver Cove. That's the last one. Recent events we were looking at. We have some adventure nugget ideas down here right now. Random combat. Oh, here we go. Random combat threats. So we're looking at a scale of 1 to 10 so far. School of 30-foot jellyfish. 10-foot poison mephits. Ice elementals anywhere from 50 to 200 feet in size. The Elithid Nautiloid. Slaver's ship that also has its cuttlefish. There could be a beholder ship that's drifting around out there. We have the Cloaker Kaiju with a pod of D4 plus 3 Dark Mantles that are 20 feet in size. And the Kaiju, the Cloaker is 50 feet in size. There's the Storm Giant Raiders that ride on Krakens. There's the Pirates of Lazar that are nearby. A pack of Scavers, which are anywhere from 10 to 20 feet in size. And then a Space Kraken that may have, say, broken free from the Storm Giants or is just an attacky Kraken. Comes and tries to munch on your city. So we have Storm Giant Raiders, Pirates of Lazar we haven't built out yet, the pack of Scavers, the Space Kraken we haven't really, we built that out somewhat. We built out the Cloaker Kaiju. Let's mess around with the Elithid Nautiloid for now. And I'm just going to futz around with this stuff for a while and just have some fun. And we'll see where it takes us. So I'm going to take the font size here and drop it down to 10. There, get that going. All right, so we're going to have the, let's call them Elithid Slavers. And then we'll have the Elithid Nautiloid. And then we'll have Elithid Cuttlefish. So this is where we'll start. Let's go check out our Nautiloid here. 180 by 40 equals 4 by 4 space that it occupies equals 400 hit points. 180 feet equals 360 feet. Right. 360 hit points. 360 HP. I think his armor class is light wood, so his armor class is going to be 15 light. Right. Bone and ceramics. So it's a living creature. So it's 13 plus D or I of whoever's commanding it. Let's see. It's DR is its damage reduction is 10 for light material on a vessel. And we don't have to worry about its tonnage right now. That's not really going to be important. And then for the Cuttlefish, it's 20 by 10 equals 4 by 4 craft. Vessel. There we go. 20 by 20 equals 4 by 4 equals 40, 40 HP. And its armor class is 13 plus DI its damage reduction is 0 because it is a soft material, fleshy flesh. Okay, so weapons. Tentacles. And Eldritch Cannon. Weapons. It has tentacles, 8. You can only make, when you grapple something with a tentacle, you can't make other attacks with that tentacle while you're holding it, but it has 8 tentacles. So it can grasp multiple targets at the same time as long as they're small, as long as they're less than 50 feet in size. It can hold one of each. You could hold on to a single ship, like something that's like 120 feet in size, but every 50 feet of length of ship, you can have one tentacle grasping onto it. So you could have up to 3 tentacles grasping a ship, say up to 150 feet, while a 100, like a scorpion ship, is 100 feet. You can have 2 tentacles wrapping around it. So you can be doing 2 attacks per round with those tentacles to be damaging, say, a scorpion ship if it's in its grasp, but a 3rd tentacle wouldn't be able to also effectively grapple the ship. It's the amount of grappling that can be applied to a single ship is limited by the size of the ship itself. Tentacles, Ballista, that's 2 of those. Mangonel, that's 2 of those. Eldritch Cannon, should have a few of those. Tentacles, it has, the Cuttlefish has 8 tentacles as well, but again, I could grapple like up to 8 medium-sized creatures or large-sized creatures with them. But once I'm grappled, I can't use it again. So, I mean, you can you can harvest a whole bunch of people and flit off with them with these Cuttlefish. They're really mobile like that. Eldritch Cannon, there's 1 of those. So let's go take a look at Illithid, because Illithid would be piloting the Cuttlefish, because the Cuttlefish is a Ceramorph, an evolved form of Ceramorph. The Cuttlefish eventually evolve into the Nautiloid, and the Nautiloid can eventually evolve into Dreadnoughts, which are 500 feet in size. 20 feet to 50 feet to 100 feet to 200 feet to 500 feet. These are different evolutionary scales that the Illithid, the little squid things, like you put them in your eye, right? And then you become an Illithid. If an Illithid doesn't take over a humanoid host, that Illithid, that little thing starts to grow in time, and it grows to colossal size. And then if you keep feeding it and nourishing it, it will continue to grow into a ship eventually. So they are organically grown. They are living creatures. You have to be able to communicate with the creature. Illithid do it telepathically, but they can operate on their own, much like a Rieger and whatever the jellyfish thing is that the Rieger have, Esoterics is what they call them for some stupid reason. Anyway, the Cuttlefish are very similar to Esoteric for Illithid. So it has that telepathic bond, but it also has all the weapons and stuff that are mounted in it for you to be able to make attacks with. So let's take a jaunt over to the D&D Beyond and take a look at Illithid so we can see how we're going to scale up the damage that they're going to do with their Eldritch Cannons. So, Illithid. I must have spelled that wrong. Oh, Mind Flayer. Right. Whatever. Mind Flayer. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so up to CR1 is first rank, up to CR5 is second rank, up to CR9 is third rank, up to CR13 is fourth rank, and anything of CR14 or above is considered fifth rank in the scaling combat system. So in Mind Flayer Illithid, is a CR7, so it is 3rd rank. So that means that its default damage would be D4, D6, D8. So a Lithid would do, let's see, 3d8 damage is how much their Eldritch Blast, the Eldritch Cannon would deal I'm going to dump magic into it to fire a shot. That would deal 3d8 damage. Force damage is the default. 500, 1 mile range. But it also has kicker effects. What are the cool kicker effects that Lithid have? Mind Blast, for instance. And it recharges on a recharges on a 6, and then it's minus its rank. So on a 4, 5, or 6, the Lithid would be able to recharge. Mind Blast. Recharge 4 to 6 on a D6 equals its range. $60-foot cone, so it'll be a 600-foot cone. Where'd my mouse go? Thank you. 600-foot cone. DC 15. The damage doesn't increase, so it's still 31. 68 plus 4. Psychic damage. The ship is immune to psychic damage. Psychic damage goes completely to the if the Lithid can target the pilot, then the Lithid can attack the pilot. If the pilot is encased inside of a fully encased ship, then the Psychic Blast doesn't have any effect until there is a target that is exposed. Does that make sense? So when we were looking at earlier, we were looking at the Sealed Helm. Can traverse water and poison sea while retaining clean air for 1 day. I'm sorry, I should also include here provides full cover. There. So if you want to have your character not exposed to the elements and therefore not exposed to Lithid attack, you're going to want to have add one of your mods to be a Sealed Helm. If you don't need to have a Sealed Helm, if that's not a problem, then you have another space that's opened up. And each week, each Bastion turn, which is a week, that when you put your mecha in the hangar bay, you can modify the mecha to have different mods. So you can swap out mods on your mecha. So you can rekit it each week to do something different. Like, I know there's a Lithid out there, we're going to hunt them, so we're going to equip all of our mecha with Sealed Helms and, I don't know, like saving throw boosts and shit like that. So that way we don't have to worry about the Psychic Blast from the Lithid hurting us while we're piloting our mecha, taking away one of their attack abilities. That we're going to nerf our mecha to protect us from Mind Blasts. That is a viable strategy. Let's see. Beep, beep. Let's go back to here. So we have Mind Blast, recharges on a 4 or 6, has a 600-foot cone. The damage is DC 15. It's a Wisdom, right? Or the Charisma? Intelligence, thank you. Int DC 15 equals... And the target is stun condition until the end of the Mind Flayer's next turn. And stunned till end of Ill's next turn. So that's gonna suck. And then tentacles at the 20-foot scale, they do 2d8 bludgeon, Bludgeoning damage plus grapple. And the attack bonus is going to be basically the Illithid. And the Illithid is intelligence modifier. Whatever its best stat is, you can generally use. So in this case, it's going to be intelligence, which is going to be a +4 bonus plus a proficiency, so it's a +7. So they're +7 hit. The tentacle also uses a +7 to hit. Does 2d8 bludgeoning damage +4. Force damage doesn't have a modifier. So that's our basic weapons there. So each one of these cuttlefish, plus the Illithid pilot, so it's going to have an armor AC 17. $40 hit points. No damage reduction. Illithid has 99 HP. So total together it has 139 hit points, but then I could further modify the cuttlefish if I wanted to give it durability, and since the Illithid is 3rd rank, I could push it up to an additional 120 hit points, but this is good. I'm going to give them 1 durability, 80 hit points. Let's go with mods. Durable times 1. 4th rank. No, sorry. 3rd rank is 4 mods. So I have durable. Let's go with sealed helm, Eldritch Cannon, which is already taken into account. So I'm eating up some of the mods for stuff that they already have. And then what's another cool mod that we want to add? Let's go look at some of the things that we can do. Grappler, when you make a pilot check to grapple or break free from a grapple, you gain expertise and roll with advantage. That's fucking great. That's exactly what these guys need. Grappler, power, +7. Expertise is +10. No. Yeah, it's +3, 6, 10. So it's +10. DC 18, +10. So I can grapple as an attack, or I can hit with the tentacle and then use a bonus action to also grapple. Eldritch Cannon as weapons. Sealed helm. Cannot direct target. No poison or water hazard. No suffocate. How about that? No suffocate. Durable times 1 plus 40 HP. There. That's our generic cuttlefish, and they could modify their cuttlefish while they're aboard the Nautiloid themselves. So the Nautiloid is their carrier, just like the Dwarven Citadel is for our Dwarf, Warforged, and Gnomish characters in their mecha. Take this, drop this down. Hopefully this stuff is interesting to you guys. I appreciate you guys taking a look at this stuff today. Thank you. This is my Discord server is linked down below. This is where I'm going to be running this Mecha Kaiju Bastion system in Eberron orbit. So you're welcome to join my Discord community if you're interested. Here's a free link to my Discord. Be welcome to jump in if you want. I'm going to I'm not sure exactly when we're going to run the game. Maybe on a Monday night. Like, instead of doing this on Monday nights, we might do that instead. And I just wouldn't show up. I just wouldn't have a Monday night stream, or it could be Saturday morning. There's a couple different options that we have, and depending on who's interested in playing and who can commit, it's like a 6-month run for us to gain levels with. Actually, I think I want to go from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think I want to do a 9-month run, and I think I'm going to start in March. So I would go from March basically to November, December. Assuming we hit each week, every month we'll gain a level, and then each month we'll have 4 sessions, 4 weeks. One will be the Bastion turn of what do we want to do with our actual Bastion, how do we want to reconfigure our Mecha, what tasks, what orders do we want to issue to our hirelings, both in the Dwarven Citadel as our mobile Bastion, or in any of the communities that the team decides to take interest in. Any Bastion that you take interest in, aside from your Dwarven Citadel, any complications that arise create new adventure hooks. So if you want to do something like you can reconfigure your Mecha inside of the Dwarven Citadel, but for anything else like new equipment or like more potions or like researching a spell, you have to go to the community that has the facilities that are able to provide that for you. So the Citadel is specifically barracks, weapons. It's basically just a mobile gun station, right? So you can modify your Mecha, you can repair Mecha, you can house in a barracks troops to man the siege weapons that you have, and you can supply goods like a storehouse to other locations, different communities. But if you want to do something like, we need like another 30 potions, like another 30 healing potions, so that we can go take on the Illithid next week and not get completely obliterated. Just put on our potion caps and just chug potions while we're doing all of this as bonus actions. We would be able to do that, but we would have to then go and invest orders into like Polly's Potion Emporium. That's in, I think it's in Farhope. So you would go there, and then the players would start taking interest in the Potion Emporium and give them orders. Hey, we need you to produce a shitload of potions for us for healing so we can go fight kaiju more efficiently and not get killed in the process. Okay, we'll do that, but then that triggers the orders and complication chances with the ability checks and the skill challenges of creating shitloads of potions for you and on a weekly basis. There's potential complications that create adventure hooks. So for a month of gameplay at one level, one session will be all of the orders that we want to issue to the different communities and bastions that we can control, reconfigure our Mecha, and then as a team, as players and DMs, decide what the different bastion events and complications, what are they going to be represented as adventures. And so for the next 3 weeks, we would then go through and like if there's like 3 complications that are like 1 kaiju attack and 2 complications, like those will be the things that we're going to deal with. What do you guys want to deal? What do we want to deal with? Like we have 3 weeks. Here's 2 complications and here's a kaiju attack that's going to happen. Which ones do you guys want to do? Or we could do it like there's a D3. So on a D6, which week will it be that we're going to do a kaiju attack? And if we're going to run 3-hour sessions, we could potentially have like a combat battle, like say last an hour, and then do 2 smaller encounters. So we could potentially have anywhere from 1 to 3 different like small encounter vignette like challenges or encounters, whether they're dealing with community stuff, fighting off kaiju, exploring an asteroid belt, whatever, just like little vignette encounters that happen during the course of the week that are occupying your character's time as they're acting as sheriffs for this asteroid community. And the team will decide, like if there's like 6 complications, but we only get to deal with like maybe 3 of them because of our timing, anything that we don't get to is going to be relegated as an ability check that the Bastion has to take care of themselves because we didn't prioritize it. So each week we come in, we're going to see how efficiently are we going to be able to finish off, like resolve these different complications with combat, exploration, or social challenges with different groups or monsters that we're encountering. And depending on how efficiently the team can process through those, will determine how much spare time is left at the end of the month. For like this last session, you've taken care of all your problems. We have a 3-hour block of time that you guys can do whatever you want with. What do you want to do with that time? And let me know. And that way we can prepare for that. And I can come back every week and provide these like little vignette challenge, like little 5-room dungeons or whatever, and to create these little encounters for you guys to fuck around with. And the results of those will help further propel the results of the orders that you issue to get the materials that you need, or build the things that you want, or do the things that you needed to do, research the stuff that you wanted, or recruit the guy that you needed, or whatever. Go through that process. And as we continue to go through each Bastion turn, it'll be a level per Bastion turn. So we'll have basically 8 turns of progress through the world to see how the campaign is evolving and adapting to what the characters decide to get invested in. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's the style. That's what a Bastion campaign is. And this is a very old school BECME style. Like the goal of BECME, old BX, original D&D, your goal was to get your character from level 1 to level 9 as fast as possible so that they could become lords, ladies, kings, conquerors, gain a dominion, and start accumulating followers and create an army and create a community hub that you could then start operating at this domain level. But there hasn't really been anything in 5th edition that actually creates domain mechanics using 5th edition. There's been some pretty popular third-party stuff that's been published that offers like warfare and domain and stuff, but most of that doesn't really actually use very 5e mechanics. They all have sort of their own not 5e game. Everything that we've been building inside of all these mechanics are 100% 5e game engine stuff out of the DMG 2014 or Player's Handbook. So it's all built like, once you read how this stuff works and you run through a game, you'll just intuitively, if you know how to play 5e, you'll intuitively know how to operate Bastions, how to operate Spelljammer ships, how to operate legions and fleets of ships and large land battles. It all processes using the combat or the exploration skill challenge game engines. Both of those just using 5e mechanics that you already know. I love the 5e game engine. It's my favorite D&D version. It is absolutely the best. And being able to have these different scales of campaign to be able to zoom in and out of an individual character to a guild, to a community, to a kingdom, to an orbit, a whole moon, whatever. You can have these scale in and out at these different scales, but the ability checks and the combat system stays the same. It's just the scale increases and the stakes get bigger. So it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy and honestly rather proud. So here's the cuttlefish, right? And so we're looking at these guys. They're going to be packing basically 180 hit points a pop. They don't have any damage reduction to worry about. You don't have to worry about the psychic attacks as long as you have a sealed helm. And the swords that you're going to be wielding, like a two-handed sword, is going to do 6d6 plus 7 damage. That's going to be, on average, around 22 points of damage. So you'll be able to drop one of these cuttlefish with that sort of damage. You'll be able to drop one of these guys, in 9 hits? More or less, taking misses into account, probably 9 hits. So if there's 4 of you guys that are beating up on cuttlefish like this, and you each have, say, 2 attacks, you're casting spells to deal damage and scale in size. These should be 3 or 4 of these cuttlefish should be one fucking hell of a challenge for 5th level characters in the mecha that we're piloting. If the pilots aren't particularly decked out for heavy combat, maybe 2 or 3 cuttlefish is all we will need to combat the characters. If they don't have sealed helms, 2 cuttlefish at most, because those mind blasts are going to fucking suck for 5th level characters. So anywhere from 2 to 4 cuttlefish, by the time they get up to 8th or 9th level, they can take on 6 or 7 cuttlefish at a time, or 2 or 3 cuttlefish and the actual illithid carrier ship. The tentacles at this scale do, it's D4, 1, 2, and then 3, 4 squares is D6, so it's tentacles deal 1d6 times 10 bludgeoning damage plus grapples. Ballistas do 1d4 times 10 piercing damage. And again, we have, if you have a metal ship, it's going to be minus 10 damage reduction, so that you could potentially do 0 damage with a ballista. If you roll a 1 on your d4, your ship's not going to take any damage. So the characters that they're going to build, they could choose to side saddle with each other. So there's only 2 mecha on the team, and then each characters, they're both like Pacific Rim style, or Chewie and Han are controlling the mecha together as pilot and co-pilot, sharing their action economy, one taking control of the helm during their turn, the other one taking control of the helm during their turn, so you can get multiple attacks. Like if you had a Barbarian and a Paladin, both inside of the same mecha, co-piloting with each other, that mecha, when they switch control from the Barbarian to the Paladin, you would lose the damage reduction off of the ship because the Barbarian isn't piloting right now, but you'd be able to use, like, say, smite spells through the strike attack, through the attacks that you're making with your sword. And between both of them, you'd be able to have 4 attacks per round, plus bonus actions and movement. So these mecha, when you have multiple characters commanding a mecha together, they can be incredibly versatile and do a lot of action economy together. But you're both working together and deciding, who's going to take control of the helm, who's in charge. The Barbarian might decide to use a reaction to take control of the helm so that he takes damage instead of the Paladin, if the Paladin was the last in control. So the team can decide, do they each want to have their own mecha, or like maybe the Cleric and the Wizard want to team up in the same mecha together so that they can be a support ship that helps the other, like the Rogue and the Barbarian mecha, and the Ranger and the Sorcerer mecha over there. Like maybe we only have like 2 or 3 mecha. So the team is going to decide how they want to split themselves up and how they want to use their action economy amongst these mecha while they're fighting kaiju and ships. So anyway, that's the idea. Ballista does D4 times 10 piercing damage, 500, 1 mile range. And this thing has, I need to put in, it is a +7 hit. It is a 200-foot reach, equals D6 times 10 bludgeoning damage. The ballista is it's a +4 plus 1d1 5 plus 1d8 hit. Because the ballista is a siege weapon, it's a D4. It has a recharge or a reload score of 3. So the ballista has a crew of 3 slaves that are operating it. Slaves are considered less, so they aren't going to do a lot, but they will reduce they operate at one less efficiency because they are enslaved and forced to do it through mind control. So they don't. If you had willing crew, and the crew was like, say, 3rd rank, you'd be able to drop the reload score down to 1. So whenever I roll that D8, I'll add that result to my 4 on the D20 to see what my hit chance is. Instead of using like a +4 proficiency bonus, we instead get a D8 proficiency die that we roll, which represents how well the team of siege weapon operators are working together to aim, fire, and reload the weapon on a single order to attack. If the team doesn't coordinate their actions well and they roll too low on the proficiency die, it means the team didn't coordinate actions well, and now you have to waste an extra reaction, bonus action, or additional attack action to issue an order specifically to reload the weapon so that you can get up and running again. So a 5th level fighter has 2 attacks, a bonus action, and a reaction. So I could fire a siege weapon, and if I failed the reload die, whether I hit or not, if I fail the reload score, I could then issue a reaction to reload the weapon, fire it again with my other attack, and that leaves a bonus action left over. If I hit with that if I succeeded the reload score on that second attack, I would then be able to use my bonus action for a 3rd attack, or maybe I use second wind, or blah 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 blah. You could use in 2nd edition, you could use your second wind feature to get that bonus to your proficiency check. You could use that to boost your siege weapon attack because it's considered to be a proficiency. So you could gain expertise in it. You can use any ability scores. You could add an artificer's flash of inspiration could add their inspiration bonus to your siege weapon attack. But if you can't roll on that D8 for the Illithid here, To fire that ballista, it's a D4. That's a 3 reload. So if I roll a 1 or a 2, I now have to waste action economy to reload the weapon. And the Illithid has 1 attack, 1 bonus action, and 1 reaction. So an Illithid commanding ballista crews to fire at you is not necessarily how the Illithid wants to be spending its action economy, but, you know, it's pushing slaves around with mind stuff. Load the weapon and fire it. Yes, master, we will do this. And maybe they do it sloppily. He's like, you stupid humans. Do the thing. And he's wasting his action economy on that. So we'll probably want to figure out how many Illithid are on board. Let's put an Elder Brain on that ship for the lulz, shan't we? And I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll a D6 and add 3, and that's going to be how many Illithid are on board plus the Eldritch Brain. And I rolled a 3, so in this instance we're going to have 6 Illithid on board. So we're going to have the Elder Brain and 6 Illithid crew. And we have 2 ballistas and 2 mangonels. Mangonels are also +4, plus 1d8 to hit. And again, this is using the book that we published on DMsGuild, which is linked down below. Its reload score, because it's rolling a 1d6 times 10 bludgeoning damage, and it has a range of 1,000 feet or 1 mile maximum range. But its die is a D6, so that means it has a reload score of 5. And since they're using mind-controlled slaves to operate the mangonel, they don't get any reduced bonuses at all on their reload score. So on that D8, I have to roll. If I roll a 1, 2, 3, or 4, the mangonel will not automatically reload. I have 2 mangonel and 2 ballista. I can fire all 4 weapons together as a single barrage. And if I do, that's going to be 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. My reload score is a 16, which is impossible for a D8, which means that all weapons that are loaded into that barrage and all fire together, I now have to spend either an attack, bonus action, or reaction to reload each weapon separately. So you could have, say, 3 Illithid, all using, 1 Illithid using action, bonus action, and reaction to reload 3 weapons, and then you could have the other Illithid. So I only need 2. The other Illithid would then be able to use an attack action to issue a full barrage attack and use either its bonus action or reaction to reload the 4th weapon. So between 2 Illithid and all the crew, I could make 1 attack that would be able to, on hit, would do 2d4 plus 2d6 times 10 damage, or potentially up to 200 points of damage on a single hit. If I miss, I don't have to worry about them retaliating this round. I mean, the pilot might be able to close distance with tentacles and stuff, but the siege crews if they miss that shot, they only get 1 attack with all those weapons, and then they have to reload each separately. Or you could have 1 Illithid, like say commanding a mangonel and a ballista, to have a much faster reload time. Both attack and then reload, and then I can do this again next round. I could have a D4, basically a D10 times 10 damage, up to 50 to 100 damage typically per round. And the Dwarven Citadel that the team has 1,000 hit points, plus however many hit points the crew are willing to dump into protecting the ship beyond that. Hey, what's up? Jurek MC, what is going on, my guy? Welcome to the mix. I'm making Spelljammer stuff. So I am a D&D content creator, and here's the Spelljammer book that I built. If you want to rewind to the beginning of this episode or check out the 15 episodes prior to this, we've basically been building an orbital campaign for Eberron and using my Spelljammer mechanics that are published here on the DMsGuild to basically we're building out an Illithid enemy right now. These guys are going to be like boss fight type shit. So 6 Illithid crew. So we're going to need to have 1 pilot, which can be the Elder Brain. So we're going to make the Elder Brain the pilot of the ship. That makes perfect fucking sense to me. We're going to want to so we can have 1 Illithid command a ballista and a mangonel, or basically 2 siege weapons. So attack with both weapons, reaction and bonus action to reload both of those weapons. So I can do a D10 times 10 damage at the siege scale per round. So we have 6 Illithid crew. We're going to have let's see, Gunner Lord times 2. And then we're going to have, let's see, we have to have the reload score. The raw reload score is also the number of creatures that are needed to reload reload, aim, and fire the weapon. A ballista requires 3. A mangonel requires 5. A trebuchet requires 7. A trebuchet does D8 times 10 damage. A ballista does D4 times 10 damage. A mangonel does D6 times 10 damage. This is essentially what it says in the DMG, but like instead of a ballista doing 3d10 damage, we just made it D4 times 10 instead. The mangonel, instead of a mangonel doing, what is it? I think it's 6d8 damage, which is up to, I think, 48 damage. We have to do a d6 times 10 damage instead. And the trebuchet can do 8 times 10 damage, but instead we have to do d8 times 10 damage. But otherwise, the stats are the same. But we take the action economy of individual characters because every creature has an action, bonus action, and reaction during combat, which means I have 3 things that I could do. As an individual creature, I could load, aim, and fire a mangonel, ballista using that action economy. As an individual first level character, I could load, aim, and fire a ballista once per round, every round. Or if I had 3 creatures that I was commanding, I could issue the attack action to make an attack. Guys, load, aim, and fire the weapon. They have a combination of attacks, bonus actions, and reactions to load, aim, and fire the weapon. So one of them is aiming the weapon is firing the weapon with their attack action. Another is loading the weapon with their reaction and aiming the weapon with a bonus action. Between the 3 of them, they have enough action economy that they can each rotate through their 3 pieces of action economy to fire a ballista up to 3 times per round. Higher rank crew are faster at reloading, and that gets translated into the proficiency die that the commander issuing the order uses. And again, whatever the result of that bastion that command die is measured against the reload score of the crew. Normally, a free-willed crew would be able to reduce the reload score based on what their effective rank is from 1 to 5. But slaves, like Illithids, they don't get the benefit of reducing the action economy. So, hey, what's up? How big is the party? Anywhere from 3 to 5 is good to me. Yeah, it's a one. Let me make sure I can see all of my text here. This is weird shaped. Let me get this fixed. There we go. Yeah, this is all. If you want to look at the book, it has a 100% free preview. It's so difficult to get people just to look at third-party content. If you want to buy it, God bless you. But the entire book is here. You can read it through cover to cover. I did all the artwork. I play tested it for a year. We did both Light of Xeraxis, and we used it in Descent into Avernus as VTOLs and hovercrafts for the Infernal War Machines. That was the mechanics of the craft, of like the fighter craft rules. And then we expanded it to vessels for the full-size Spelljammer ships. But it's really effective. It's a really, really good system. But it hits super fucking hard. And teams are going to want to have temporary hit points and stuff. I got lost in my tabs. There we go. Gunner Lord, and then we need 4 Cuttlefish pilots. I'll catch up with you here in a second. Cuttlefish pilot. A burst attack, but still is basically, I'm missing, there's stuff is getting clipped. I want to unclip. Sorry, arranging my windows to see the full text. There we go. Hi. And good. A burst attack, but still is basically 4 attacks per 2 Gs. Right. And an Illithid counts as a person. It could. I mean, the Illithid's not going to. It's going to have slaves to do the work for it. An Illithid would never pick up a ballista or like lift a stone to fire the weapon. No chance. But it could if it wanted to. Wouldn't the combat drag out with so many actions? No. No, it doesn't. Because when you issue the attack order, the crew that's firing the weapons, they're just narrative. All of those characters are there to accommodate, like as a fighter, I have 2 attacks, a bonus action, and a reaction. I can make 2 attacks with my attack actions. basically issuing 2 orders to my crew, I ignore the crew's action economy. I just use my fighter's 5th level action economy to fire at a larger scale at things with more hit points. But otherwise, it works exactly the same at the 50-foot scale for fightercraft or at the 500-foot scale for vessels that are engaged in siege combat with each other. You can attack things up to a mile away. At the 500-foot scale, a single square, 10 squares is 1 mile. 500 feet times 10 is 5,000, roughly a mile. So you can fire at things up to a mile away as your long-distance range attack. Ballistas have a 500-foot normal range. Mangonels have a 1,000-foot normal range. Trebuchet have a 1,500-foot normal range. Gift cannons have a 2,500-foot normal range, which is 5 squares at the 500-foot scale. So it all works the same action economy that we're already used to. And you can use your bonus action to rage to give yourself bonuses to attack like you normally would, or the paladin can use their bonus action to smite if they want to, just like you normally could, to add in extra damage dice to the siege weapon attacks that you're making, assuming like it was a melee siege attack. Or if you allow your paladin to do range attacks, there you go. You could siege weapons are considered ranged weapons, so a paladin using smite spells would be better equipped as a pilot in the mecha, using the sword or hammer or mace or whatever your melee weapon is, so that you can juice your weapon damage using your smite spells like you normally would be able to. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so we have 6 Illithid crews, we have 2 Gunner Lords. Actually, yeah, that makes sense. In combat, the Gunner Lords would be overseeing the crew, so that means we need to have a total of, slaves. We need at least 16 slaves, 16 gunner slaves to operate the siege weapons. X slaves. We also need, let's see. Get the hell out of here! I hate this formatting. We need to have, let's say, 5 brain attendants that are basically vessels that the brain controls to manipulate stuff for them. And let's see, floating. Oh, and we also need food. And let's see, you need one intelligent creature per week per Illithid. And we have 6 Illithid, and the Elder Brain needs to consume 4 itself. So 10 humanoids per Bastion turn. So we'll assume that they have a stockpile of at least 20 before they have to go hunting some more. So that means they're going to have 51. 10, 20, 10, 20, 25, 30, 41. 41 plus slaves to stay operational for a 2-week period of time. If they run out of food, they can start eating gunner slaves. If the brain has to, it'll eat its attendants, but the attendants will go last. Yeah, a Bastion turn is a week, and the campaign runs 1 month per Bastion. So I'll have 4 weeks of gameplay with 3-hour sessions per week. Each month will be a Bastion turn, and we're going to gain a level every month. So we'll go from level 5 to 6 to 7 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we'll end the campaign when the team is in 13th level. That's as far as we'll take it. So it'll be a 9-month run, 4 weeks. The first session of the month the first session, each 3-hour block, 4 weeks, 12 hours of gameplay. I typically, in like a normal D&D campaign, when I'm running a campaign from level 1 to 20, I typically have characters spend anywhere from 10 to 15 hours of gameplay per level. If I'm doing a timed game where they'll just automatically gain a level after X amount of hours, typically 10 to 15. But I also find using experience points at typical pacing, or with goalposts, or like milestone leveling up, it all kind of weighs out to be somewhere around 10 to 15 hours of gameplay, ends up giving you a level. So I just structure it so that every 4 weeks of game that we play is going to gain a level. And each 4 weeks of gameplay is one Bastion turn. So as we take Bastion turns and update what's going on in our facilities and upgrading our abilities and stuff as we play the campaign, the characters will be gaining level and pace with the Bastion points that they get to purchase more facilities and blah, blah, blah. And they'll be able to impact how the game plays by the orders that they issue and the complications that occur as a result of the skill checks that you make when you issue an order, because I built a Bastion Campaign document that basically runs through how to do all that stuff, which is linked down below here. In the past 4 sessions, I was explaining how the Bastion Campaign works for building asteroid communities and like guilds and churches and shit. So you can check all that stuff out. But this Illithid Slavers crew is coming together pretty nicely. Can you get just extra, just ultra processed humans? Just for, that is so macabre. I love it. A turn is like a Bastion turn is like a week. Yeah. And yes, I guess you could hack off their limbs and stuff, but I mean, a brain is a brain. They have plenty of space on the ship. It's got tons of room. It's 4x4 square. It can accommodate typically if it's in void space, a 200-foot ship can easily provide air for up to 40. It's every 50-foot space that a ship occupies equals 10 medium-sized creatures, or like 10 squares worth of humans. Like if you had like 2 ogres and 2 humans, that would be 10 squares worth of breathing. And so that can last 100 days. If I had a crew of 50 plus these, 41 plus the 6 crew, that's roughly 50 crew instead of 40. So they'll go through their air in 80 days instead of 100. But they're going to run out of food after 14. So they're constantly going to be dipping into and attacking different communities to try to snatch up a bunch of people. If you do that too often, they're going to get hunted after. So we already know they're working with a night hag. There's a night hag that we had figured out here that has been kidnapping people in their sleep, and they've been disappearing. But there's so much migration happening right now in the communities. This Frisia manifest zone is making crops too cold to grow in these 3 communities. So people are migrating to asteroid 4, 5, and 6, and there's so much transience going on right now. People are going missing, and they aren't arriving ever. So we know there's a problem. They just don't know how to track it down. I don't mind telling you guys, spoiler alert, there's a night hag, because if you guys were building this with me, it'd be like, oh, what if we had a night hag that was out fucking around with people? Now, my job as a DM is, there's a night hag that's stealing people. I now get to create the adventure where you're going to track that night hag down and try to end her business of stealing people to feed to the Illithid. So that's like a thing that's going on right now. That's completely separate from the ice elementals in the Frisia zone potentially coming down and attacking people. So that's a completely different track. There's 2 major threats, and then there's just the random kaiju like cloakers and 50-foot dark mantles and Esoterics and 200-foot kaiju. These are all significant threats to these communities, and that have to be fought off using your mecha and your Dwarven Citadel vessel. There's no air recycling system. No. Spelljammer typically doesn't have an air recycling system to it. Air is most of the spells in D&D. Very little spells in D&D actually create air. Most of them just move air around. So if the air is already fouled and poisoned, you could breathe it. 100 days of fresh air, and then another 100 days of foul air, which when you breathe it, you're basically poisoned, have disadvantage on your rolls. And after that 200-day stretch, it's now poisonous. It is depleted. All oxygen is now deadly, and you can't breathe it. You'll start suffocating immediately. But all the way that the campaign is set up is that these asteroids have enough vegetation, and all these other little minor asteroids that are all floating around here have enough air pocket, have enough vegetation to them that they've created these airflows that, like you can see this community here, this is all fresh air that flows to these areas, but this space out here is too far away from these asteroid structures to be able to provide fresh air. So this is all foul, poison air. And then if we span out more, that square was here, and here's the Super Mario World connectors. You can safely travel from here to here to here by going through, staying in fresh air and never having to worry about it. Or you could shortcut to here by flying through poisoned air and having disadvantage on all of your checks. Every D20 die is going to be at disadvantage until you get back into fresh air. So you're going to spend only one day out in nowhere, but what's the chances of you running into some sort of a monster out there that now every single D20 roll that you make is at disadvantage while you're in combat? It might not be worth it to you to go out into this poisoned air. Coincidentally, the manifest zone, the Frisia manifest zone that's created in Cold Snap, is out here beyond the air belt, because ice elementals don't have to breathe, so they don't care that it's poisoned air. It's just air to them. They're fine. So it doesn't matter to them at all. So if you want to go fuck around with ice elementals to try to put it into the Frisia manifest zone, you're going to dive into that place in poison air. But if you have a sealed helm, which is one of your mecha modifications, you can skip that. So here are the different modifications. At second rank, at 5th level, we can have 3 mods. The sealed helm can traverse water and poison sea while retaining clean air for 1 day, but only 1 day. So you're going to need to have your carrier ship going with you to carry the mecha ships, because they can't sustain. I mean, the Dwarven Citadel has its own bubble of air that will stay fresh as you go into the manifest zone. But once you leave the area, the space that the Dwarven Citadel occupies, you have 1 day air supply before it becomes poisoned in your mecha. So very short flight, like an X-wing. An X-wing can hyper jump to different locations, but if you have to spend more than a day in the cockpit, you're going to start getting degrees of exhaustion, because just sitting, like blood clots and butt sores and all that stuff, it gets exhausting. So you're going to start taking degrees of exhaustion for every day that you spend piloting inside of a fighter craft that's not large enough for you to walk around, lay down, go to different facilities, and enjoy just roaming around like you can in a vessel. So there's hard restrictions on being in a mecha for an extended period of time. You have to get out of it to take a long rest, or you're going to gain a degree of exhaustion. You'll get your full rest, but you get a degree of exhaustion, and you could literally kill yourself by being in your ship for too long. Words about this, right on, man. And planar spells. I mean, we're only at 5th level, so we don't really have any planar spells. But like, you could plane shift an entire ship if you can amplify the spell using a mana amplifier. If you use a mana amplifier, you can increase the scale of your spells so that you could plane shift an entire vessel to another plane of existence. But that's, plane shift is like a 7th level spell, and then you have to upcast it 2 levels. I mean, you could cast a 7th level spell and spend a second level spell on top of it to plane shift, or a 9th level spell as just one spell to plane shift a ship basically up to 500 feet in size. Anything bigger than that is beyond the capacity. But if you install a mana amplifier on your mecha, you can upcast spells up to the 50-foot scale for free. So if you have, like, say, the Misty Hop spell and a mana amplifier, when you cast Misty Step, it'll automatically teleport your ship 6 squares at the 50-foot scale, 300 feet instead of 30. If you don't have a mana amplifier, it'll cost you an extra spell slot to Misty Step your mecha up to 50 feet in size. It'll cost you 2 extra spell slots to Misty Step a vessel up to 500 feet size, and it would hop 3,000 feet or 6 500-foot squares instead of the normal 30 feet at 2nd level. You see how that works? So that's the scaling mana system. That's the upcasting or spell amplification system that we have here. So you just install a mana amplifier as one of your mecha modifiers, and you can cast spells for free at the 50-foot scale. The damage doesn't change. It's just a larger scale range, larger scale area of effect. And yes, that does have some ramifications on things like fireball and stuff, but if you were to throw a fireball onto a city, the city is occupied. So the city is occupied by creatures, so it's not an unoccupied item. There's a whole bunch of people there that are basically inside the shelter of the buildings, but anyone that's out on the street, if you drop a fireball onto a city, yeah, anyone that's outdoors at the time is going to get fried. But with the rain, orreries that we can use, we can detect incoming ships, and we can identify at not like 10 minutes out, we can identify if they're enemies or allies. So if we see enemy ships coming in, we have 10 minutes for everyone to get indoors. So if they start throwing fireballs at the city, it's not going to destroy anybody in the city unless they're stuck outdoors, because that's how a fireball works. You could amplify a shatter spell to explode a building, but that's one object at a time, up to 50 feet in size or up to 500 feet in size. Yes, you could use multiple shatter spells to decimate a city, but that's one spell at a time that need to be amplified. And the logistics behind getting enough wizards casting shatter at a degree enough that will destroy all the buildings in town is ridiculous. It would take for fucking ever for them to do it. And if there's siege weapons that can attack back at a spelljamming ship, the spell casting of the spelljamming ship is going to be within range of the siege weapons. So they're going to be taking fire while they're trying to lob these spells, and they could be using shatter and destruction spells from their own spell amplifiers on the ground, attacking the ships in the sky at the same range back and forth. So it basically becomes just a wizard fight at a large scale, and the city's at stake. Or the spelljamming ship gets knocked out of the sky because it's soaking shitloads of damage from multiple spell projectors, if that makes sense. So where are we in this process? It's 8:22 right now. I've got a little bit of time, so let's go look at. I'm pretty happy with how the Illithid is sitting right now. This is fleshed. Where'd it go? Wrong book. Hold on. Kaiju Bastions. There we go. Yeah. There's enough fleshed out here for the Illithid slaver ship that this would be like at 5th, 6th, 7th level, they're going to encounter cuttlefish, the little fighter craft that drop off the Nautiloid ship to go steal people or fuck around. The team isn't going to be ready to deal with the entire slaver crew, all the mecha, and the actual active Elder Brain operating the ship. They probably won't be able to deal with that until 8th or 10th level. But it's going to be out there, so that's a good idea. Let's bounce back and take a look at ice elementals. So we have ice elementals scaling up from 50 to 200 feet in size. So we're going to do 50, 100, and 200 foot scales. Let's go to our matrix. Wrong tab. Here we go. Here's all the different powers and stuff that you can put on your mecha. You're going to recognize a lot of this stuff as different types of exploits, martial maneuvers, and stuff like that from the player's handbook that just require a bonus action to trigger inside of your mecha. So if you have co-pilots, you have 2 bonus actions, and you have like a barbarian and a paladin, they have 2 attacks each, bonus action each, reaction each. If they're co-piloting together inside of a mecha, they have a lot of action economy between themselves inside of that ship. But bait and switch is just from the Battle Master. Switch places with a target, give them armor class boost. What's another fun one? Keen awareness. You gain expertise when you make an ability check that can use the perception or investigation skill, or while using an orrery to make scanning checks to do a radar sweep to see if there's distant objects that are incoming at quick speeds. At 2nd rank, and we're starting at 2nd rank. So our mecha, our mecha, we're starting at 2nd rank, 1st level, 5th level, 9th level, 13th level, 17th level, 1 through 5. Proficiency bonuses. We're starting at 5th level, so 2nd rank mecha. So we have access to modifications up to 2nd rank. So 2nd rank, like evade damage. When you succeed a dexterity saving throw to reduce damage, you take none or half if you fail. It's basically evasion, right? A rogue doesn't need that. A rogue gets that for free, but your barbarian could pick up evade damage as a mecha modification, so that when he makes a dexterity saving throw, he'll take no damage. I mean, well, he gets feral instincts anyway, doesn't he? No, that's just advantage on saving throws. So feral instincts plus evade damage on a barbarian mecha equals advantage on my dexterity saves, and if I'm successful, I take no damage. It's like having a barbarian mecha pilot is super fucking useful. Hey, good night, my man. Yeah. If the ship is made of metal, heat metal would be a good thing to use until it gets dispelled by a local debuffer. But yes, you're absolutely right. And have a good night. Thanks for hanging out, my man. I do this on Mondays and Thursday nights, sometimes on Saturday mornings, and then I do artwork for my books Monday through Fridays in the morning. So anyone is welcome to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, notifications, blah here to check out the stuff that I'm doing. I'll be back on tomorrow morning to do more Eberron artwork, and I'm thrilled so many people are taking an interest in this tonight. So thank you. Third rank, first strike. When you roll initiative, if a target is within range of your melee weapon attack, you can make an attack roll against that target instead. The result of the attack roll is then your initiative, as well as dealing damage if you hit. Super opening move, like great for assassin rogues. Hypertunistic, when you use a reaction against a target as an opportunity attack, you can make an additional attack against the provoking target as part of the opportunity. So you basically get 2 attacks instead of 1. That's a third rank modification, so your characters can start putting that on their mecha at 9th level. Super fun stuff. All sorts of cool stuff in here. Ward, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage until the beginning of your next turn. That's a bonus action to activate, or magic action if you want to. So if I have like a cleric and a paladin in one mecha, the cleric could be using their action economy to trigger maneuvers and casting spells to juice up the mecha's performance. And then, like, say, the paladin would then be able to use its improved attack actions, bonus action, reaction to make use of this juiced up maneuvers that the cleric bequeathed onto the mecha for this turn, for instance. And we have reactions. Deflection as a reaction to when a target you can see that is within reach of your melee attack hits with an attack roll. The attack is re-rolled, taking the new result. This re-roll cannot score a critical hit. So when the DM hits a critical on you, which could be really fucking dangerous for your ship, if you have deflection active and you're currently piloting, and your mecha has the deflection modification, then you can throw up a deflecting ward to make them re-roll and get rid of the critical hit and just maybe be a normal hit. Yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. All sorts of fun stuff. This is linked down below. Be welcome to take a look at it. Hexproof, as a reaction to when a creature that you can see targets you with a spell or magical effect. The creature must succeed a charisma saving throw at disadvantage, or you are unaffected and the spell or effect is wasted. But you don't get access to that until 13th level. And it has to be a mod that you pick up for your mecha. But super defensive. Like if you're fighting a Lithid, that's a good thing to take on. But at 13th level, you're probably fighting multiple Lithid ships at the same time because your characters are fucking tough as hell. This is the kind of stuff that you should expect your characters to be able to do at that level because of, epic heroics. But it all uses the normal 5e action economy just at the 50 or 500 foot scale. So it's kind of like a 5e version of Lancer if you're interested in that sort of thing. It works really, really well. But you can hop out of your mecha and use a character with an axe can eventually chop down and destroy a cuttlefish. Like a 20-foot cuttlefish is basically a 20-foot construct, like an iron golem. It's weaker than an iron golem, honestly. So you could get out of your mecha and throw spells at it or shoot it with your gun. Like if you're using projectiles, like smoke powder weapons in Spelljammer, with this kaiju scale, makes perfect sense that you would have access to firearms that could do big boy damage if you needed to, because you're going to be fighting things with hundreds of hit points. So let's get into the kaiju damage scaling. Here's your weapon cost and the weight growth and the cost for creating long swords at different scale sizes. Like a long sword is 15 gold pieces. It does 1d8 damage, right? Yeah, 5-foot scale does 1d8 damage. At 10 foot, it does 2d8 damage. 15. The way we modify it is, over here on the far end, Kaiju and Constructs. Here we are. So 5-foot scale, it's 1d. It's like for a long sword, it's 1d8. 10 foot, it's 2d8. 15, it's 3d8. 30 feet, it's 4d8. 50 feet, it's 5d8. And then at 100 feet, it's 6d8. And then 78, and then 88, 98, and eventually at 500 foot, a 500 foot mecha does 10d8 times 10 damage with each sword hit. So it does. It's not a linear. It's not an extrapolating scale. We use more linear scaling. Like there's not a huge difference between like 30 and 40 feet, or 40 and 50 feet, or 200 and 300 feet. Not a huge difference in scale. So this is the progression that we have, and generally it works pretty well with the system. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So we can use that for the 50-foot scale is 5dx. $5dx. 100 feet is 6dx, and 200 is 7dx. Doesn't sound like much of a difference, but we're going to have more attacks. Like the 100-foot kaiju is going to have more attacks than the 50-foot kaiju. Let's see. I think up here is hit points. Where are you at, buddy? No, it's further down. It should be down here. Hold on. You can look at You can look at this document. It's linked down below. It's read only, but it'll eventually be on the DMsGuild. 50 foot. There we go. And a hollow creature. A hollow is for like fleshy creatures. Like at the 5-foot scale, a CR1 creature or like a CR half creature is going to have like 10 hit points. At the 50-foot scale, it's 100. A 500-foot scale, it's 1,000. Hollow is for ships and craft in general, but also for living creatures. Elemental creatures, like an ice elemental, though, it would be considered a hybrid. Light material would be like a 50-foot block of wood would have 10,000 hit points, but a 50-foot block of metal would have 20,000 hit points, and you'd have to basically chip down all. But at the 5-foot scale, like what is it? A 5-foot area of stone is described in the Dungeon Master's Guide as having 30 hit points per inch of thickness, which is approximately 2,000 hit points per 5-foot cube. You see how that works? Solid objects like asteroids, moons, planets increasingly scale hit points based on the size of the object. So a 5-foot scale stone is a heavy object, 2,000 hit points. Composite material is like a lighter material, like a mix between heavy and light material. And light material, we just arbitrarily decided to be half of what heavy material would be. That's where this scale came from. So a 50-foot creature, an elemental 50-foot creature, is going to have an extra 1,000 hit points. A 100-foot scale, and then it'd be an extra 1,000. So at 50 feet, it'd be plus 2,000 hit points. And at the 200-foot scale, it would be plus 4,000 hit points. For a creature 200 feet tall made of solid ice. So the 500-foot scale ship, the Dwarven Citadel that the team commands, it has 1,000 hit points, but let's take a look at it real quick because it's fun to look at it. Where is it? Here. Dwarven Citadel. It has 10 full salvo. It has 3 ballista. It has it has a total 3. It has a battery of 3 ballistas, another battery of 3 ballistas, 4 batteries of 3 ballistas. It has 2 these batteries are 3 ballistas. This battery is 2 ballistas. So in total, there's a total of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25, 28. It has a total of 28 weapons, or essentially 28 d6 times 10 damage that it can deal, which would be 28 times 3 is times 3.5. That's 60, 84, 98, 980. So basically a normal salvo would do a full salvo of all weapons at the same time in a single round would be 900, on average, 980 damage. And so if we're being attacked by, say, 16 ice elementals that are 50 feet in size, you can expect to maybe take out one every attack in the Dwarven Citadel. If there's 16 of you mobbing you, you've got basically 16 rounds. But again, if you're going to fire all those weapons at the same time, you now have to reload each of those weapons independently. And there's 28 of them, so it's going to require 28 pieces of action economy between attacks, bonus actions, and reactions. A fighter has 4 of those at 5th level. It would take 7 5th level fighters to be able to reload all those weapons before I can fire a full salvo again. So it's not going to be that easy. The Dwarven Citadel can initially take on about 3 or 4 50-foot elementals and likely have a fair fight. As the team scales up in the size, they get into 100, 200-foot kaiju, that'd be fine. But the elementals in particular are dense. Like cloakers, like a 50-foot cloaker would only get an extra 100 hit points because it's made of squishy flesh. But elementals in particular, it's just giant blocks of ice. So they basically have 1,000 hit points per 50 feet. That's how that works. So going back to our elementals, let's go look up nice elemental. And then we'll probably call it done for the day. Where is there? Elemental. No, elemental, not Eladrin. Elemental. We can probably just use we could probably do a blend of earth elemental and water elemental. Maybe that makes sense. Earth elemental is probably going to be a primary. What's your movement speed like? Speed 30 feet, burrow 30. Water elemental has a speed of 30 feet and swim of 90 feet. They can only do, so ice elementals in general, 1,000 miles per day. Craft. That's the speed of fighter craft in Mecha. So it's going to take a while for them to get from the heart of the manifest zone out to where the community's at, even though it's being affected by the gold. Let's see. What kind of damage do you do? Hit points equals 1,114 hit points. 2,114 hit points. See how that works? Excuse me. Damage, slam. Slam is 50-foot reach, plus 7 to hit. 2d8 times 5 times damage is 10d8. There we go. It's plus 7, 10d8, and pulse rate plus 4, bludgeon damage. We'll make it cold damage. Ooh, let's do that. Let's do 1d4 times 10 B and 1d4 times 10 cold damage. And it can't whelm because it's a solid object. Freeze. If the elemental takes cold damage, its speed decreases by 20 feet. No. Water form. Can enter an enemy's space and stop there. No. Okay, we're probably done with the water elemental portion of this. Let's instead look at the earth elemental. Siege monster. The elemental deals double damage to objects and structures. Let's see. Slam, the larger size one are going to have multi-attack. 2 times... 100 foot. Let's do this. Slam, 2. 100 foot reach. It's going to be 2d... It's... 2 times. That's right. 2 attacks, so it's going to be 6 dice. Sorry, I need that still. 2d8 times 6. That's 16d8 plus 4. That's basically d6. 1d6 times 10 plus 8, or d4, yeah, d6 bludgeoning, and 1d6 times 10 cold. $78 is 56 plus some, so that's a d8, roughly a d8. So 200 foot is a slam. That's going to be 3 attacks, which is going to be 200 foot reach. That's going to be 1d8 times 10 plus 16 bludgeoning, and 1d8 times 10. Let's use real math. 1d8 times 10 cold. There we go. And what cool shit do you got? What else does the Earth Elemental do? Earth Glide. The Elemental can burrow through non-magical unworked earth and stone. While doing so, Rock Launch. Range. Here we go. Range attacks. Slam. Iceberg launch. 1 attack. Iceberg launch. 1. Let's give this one to him. Ranged siege weapons are cool. Oh, ranged siege weapons are tight. What's your armor class? 17. Super easy to hit. Shitloads of hit points. Seventeen. Oh, there it is. Bah. Let's see. Yeah. Icebergs. This is going to be plus 8, plus 8, plus 8. D6 plus 5, range is 600 feet. Up to 1 mile away. We'll make this. Let's do that. Let's do it like this. 1,000 feet here, 500 feet here, because that's just easier math. 500, 1,000, and then this will be 2,000. There we go. And what does this do? D6, so it's 5d6 plus 5. Bludgeoning damage. This will be 6d6 plus 10. And we'll go 76 plus 20 bludgeoning damage. There. That's pretty much all we need to really worry about. Fire, obviously. Cold. Exhaustion, paralysis, petrified, poison, unconscious. Good. Okay, so now we have the size of the kaiju. We need to develop the Frisia. Okay, so they can't fly. They can swim and earth glide. So the manifest zone that gets created needs to be some sort of like rhyme, R-I-M-E, like Rime of the Frost Maiden is like haining frost, so that they can like fly through the haining frost, which means that they're going to be taking that the team is going to have to be able to endure cold damage. So let's go up and let's go with meanie. Yeah, we'll stay inside the. We'll keep it down here since this is where it's relevant. Let's just keep the info down here. Ice elementals. Rizia manifest zone. Equals 10,000 mile. No. Hold on. Let's go back and look at our map real quick. Let's do, it starts off as 1 by 1, it increases to 2 by 2, and will eventually become 3 by 3. So it's currently 2 by 2. 20 by 20 at 10k mile scale. Let's see, suspended rhyme equals cold frost infused air can be fly through as elementals. Ship creatures, objects not immune to cold take 1d6 cold 1d6 times 10 cold damage per round at speed above 1,000 mile per day. So while you're in the rime, you can only move 2 500-foot squares per day. Otherwise, your ship takes damage every round. So you could fly through it quickly if you can become immune to it and be able to quickly speed up your navigation. But your team is going to have to research how to do that using the arcane studies and workshops that are in the facilities of the different communities that they have control over. And then once they research the magical plans to be able to create that modification, they could then implement that into their mecha ship and for their dwarven citadel, so that they'll be able to traverse the rime without taking any damage, or taking, not taking any cold damage while you're inside the space that it occupies, inside of a sealed environment. So that's going to work out well. You'll have to have the sealed helm, and you'll have to modify it to be immune to cold rime, so that you can operate inside the manifest zone without taking damage. Currently, it's not cold enough to deal damage to a 10,000 mile scale. Total manifest. Damn it, get out of the way. Manifest zone. Currently, no, sorry, 2x2 at the 1,000 mile scale. Currently, 1 by 1 space is suspended rime. Cold damage infused air can fly. So as it continues to expand, it's cold right now in the outer reach. Let's do a quick drawing here, just to demonstrate. Okay, so currently the manifest zone occupies a 200 by 200 square space, or a 20,000 mile square space. Each square is 10,000 miles, and the rime inside of it. This is the freezing. This is where you take cold damage for being inside of it. Currently, it's only this scale. It'll eventually scale out to this size. As it is right now, when we look at our map, let's go with black. That's about, so this darker spot, this is the rime. This is the suspended rime where you actually take damage, which is where the elementals are at right now. This is just cold enough to damage crops, make things uncomfortable for people. But as the rime continues to expand, it will eventually encompass all of the community, and everyone will die inside of it. So it's not a big threat yet, but they are aware that it's expanding. They just don't know how big it's going to get before the manifest zone finally collapses. They don't know how long it's going to last. We haven't found that out yet. It's just know that's an impending threat. Currently it's right outside of our neighborhood, right? So if each bastion turn, let's say it goes, how many squares is that going to be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. If we go, this is week 1 where it's at. This will be week 2. This will be week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8. So by the time of the end of the campaign, if we don't do something to resolve that manifest zone, it could potentially kill literally destroy everybody here. So that's a fun threat. We're not necessarily sure if that's the rate that it's going to grow at. The team's going to have to research that to verify how large it's going to get. But that's what it could potentially do. So this is where we're at right now. And that makes for the illithid slavers that are operating in this cold basically hiding in this space right now. Well, actually, the Illithid are probably actually out over here somewhere, not in the Rime. That Rime is going to be really fucking uncomfortable. So I bet the Illithid are operating out here somewhere. We got the Pirates of Lazar that are over here. We have Droam, which is over here. And then we have this Frisia Manifest Zone with the Ice Elementals here. And we still have other Kaiju that are coming in from over here. Over here, the Illithid could run into Kaiju and get into trouble. They're going to have to run away from that or kill them themselves somehow or enslave them to become allies. Who knows? But there's a lot of different directions, and this is just a two-dimensional plane. It's actually a sphere, so Kaiju can come from the underside as well. There you go. So that's the idea. I'm going to go ahead and hit the brakes here. It's almost 9 o'clock here in Seattle, and I got to get up in the morning to do more artwork before I go to my day job. But hey, if you guys thought this stuff was cool, I'll be back doing more of this on Thursday. And if anyone has any suggestions or ideas or requests, you can join my Discord community and just go down into the Eberron Spelljammer Kaiju Campaign and go ahead and add your notes or your questions and your ideas. I'll be back on Thursday night to continue building this stuff out. And we'll build some more Kaiju encounters and start looking at the logistics that go behind those, what kind of a threat they are. Super fun. So that's it for now, guys. I really appreciate y'all being here. I will see you all. Well, maybe I'll see some of you guys in the morning. The rest of you, hopefully, I'll see you on Thursday. So bye-bye for now. Thanks, guys.